Based on a complaint which was filed by Girish Chodankar, an inquiry was conducted and the Chief Minister made a statement that the allegations in respect of 2 persons named there in the PSI recruitment were found to be true. These allegations were that despite having failed in the physical test, these persons were allowed to attend the written test, and what is worst, they qualified with flying colors and in the merit list for being appointed as PSI. What is the concern of everyone here in the state is that it's not merely their inclusion, but who is the one who hated the team and comprised the team which conducted the physical test of these 2 candidates, and what was the report made by them? Because unless there was a report, they could not have gone in for a written test. And if the videos have found that these people did not pass the physicals, then these people have made a false report. These people who comprised of that committee, which was overseeing this physical tests, they have to be held accountable. They have to be booked in addition to these 2 candidates who happily went to sit over there for the written examination, knowing they had failed. If these people who were in the committee have not given a false report, then my contention is that you have to find out those people at a higher level who managed it. It is impossible that somebody could have written a letter and allowed them to come for a written examination. Important to know who called them for a written test. These records have to be seized. I asked the Chief Minister why no criminal case has been filed against these candidates who failed the physical test and have them arrested. Once you have them arrested, they will spill the beans and tell whom they were connected to or who they had as their godfathers. It is not possible that this kind of a very, very high level manipulation could have taken place unless there was political backing of a very high level or there was a backing of somebody inside the police force. So I call upon the Chief Minister to come clean and explain the circumstances under which such fraud was sought to be perpetrated in the police force. This is very important because you are putting people of this character who play fraud and enter the department to be guardians of law and order. If these people enter by such dubious means, you can imagine what will happen. It will corrupt the entire police force. These people must be sent home from the door. They should not be allowed to remain there even for a minute. Then the Honorable Chief Minister, knowing that the pressure will come before the House, makes a statement that 5 committees have been appointed to review the videos. And this was sought to be welcomed by many people. But the catch is, soon after he makes the statement, on 15 June 2022, an order was issued. He makes a statement on 15 June. No, the date of the order is 15 June, and it is issued on 24th. The SP headquarters has issued the 24th June notification inviting these same people, this list of PSIs, to come for verification. You are still doing that 5-member committee verification. Has that report come? Have everybody been cleared? Right now you are trying to fool people by saying that one side we are conducting inquiry. That means these people in the list are surely done and dusted and nothing remains. So I demand that you have to get rid of such kind of people, and these people who are in that list also must be scrutinized thoroughly. The other thing I want to point out is, in recruitment for the PSI examination, it was out in public domain that certain people who got as low as 20 and 27 marks for the PC examination got 90 or plus 90 plus marks. They have become brilliant for a PSI exam, but they could not pass a constable's exam. So this is what shocks and smells of the scandal, which is so blatant. And therefore, I think the entire list has to be scrapped and the entire test has to be done very properly. Another thing is, we had already heard of our social activist, Advocate Iris Rodriguez, raising up issues under human rights about food for the police. So knowing that this assembly session was coming up, I myself addressed a letter to the Director General of Police, called upon him and said that the poor staff, especially who are at the gates of the assembly complex, don't get proper food, no water, no toilet facilities. He assured to me that he would look after that, and very promptly he did make arrangements to give them water and a mobile toilet. And what was given was snacks. I asked yesterday, I asked on the very first day, while going out, I asked them, did you all get the food? They said, we only got snacks at about 12:30. You can't expect people to stand there in this kind of rain and not even have food. They don't have chance to go out and eat and come back because they have to be stationed at the post. Then I found out why was this happening. They said, sir, we have got a budget of only 10,000 rupees per year, which we can spend excess. I think we should make provision for them and give them something to be eaten. I'm not saying give a lavish buffet, but at least a packet with some food can be given, which they can eat over there, because don't have to tell us that 8 hours and therefore 8 hours you don't get meals. We come here for 8 hours, we also get our meals here. So let them also get something to eat. I've also been informed that election allowance, which has not been given to 70% of the police force in the flying squad. These people who go in the flying squad are small-time people, especially the police constables and all that. I think they should be immediately given. One should not keep them waiting and pending for a long time. Then I would like to speak on demand number 2, which is GAD, which we have Goa Human Resources Development Corporation. I've been informed that the staff is not getting payment of arrears, there is no increment, and they are not being confirmed. I request the Honorable Chief Minister to make budgetary provisions to give them appointment on a regular basis and give them all benefits. We cannot engage people for several years and then send them home. As far as school education is concerned, which is demand number 34, there is provisions of the School Education Act and rules are in conflict with the constitutional right of minorities. Article 30 of the Constitution of India guarantees the right to minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. This right is inviolable. The fundamental rights cannot be waived. Section 6 of the School Education Act 1985 provides for the managing committee of every recognized school to make, in accordance with the rules under the Act, a scheme of management for such school. Rule 74 of the 1986 rules provides for recruitment and promotion of employees in each recognized school to be made on the recommendations of the selection committee, and the selection committee is provided in Rule 76 of these rules. And it provides that the appointing authority for every employee to be the managing committee. Now, Article 30 speaks of a minority can establish and administer both things. You can't simply establish and not administer, or you can't administer somebody else's institution which is established. It is conjunctive. Both have to work together. Now, if you try to put the management in the hands of a school managing committee and divest the minorities of that right, then it will not work in consonance with Article 30, it will work in conflict with it. And I think these rules have to be amended to provide an exception that in case of minorities, this is not to be made applicable. Then there is another rule in the School Education Rule, Rule 78, which provides that for promotion to the post of principal in higher secondary schools, the requirement of at least 7 years teaching experience as of grade 1 teacher in the higher secondary school or headmaster of secondary school and the same manager having 7 years of service, out of which at least 5 years in the higher secondary school as grade 1 teacher. If you look at it, when a person is climbing up the ladder, if he is already a headmaster and he's going to become a principal, you can't tell him join there as a teacher and then we will take you as a principal. Because if you're getting promoted from a headmaster to a higher level as principal, all that experience of yours can be taken into account and you can be put there. Remember, there's one more thing, that there is also Rule 86, which says that promotion to these posts, the appointment to these posts must be made by promotion. Now, I respectfully say that this rule must be looked in context, again, in the background of minorities. The Supreme Court in several judgments has held that the right to appoint the senior most is not obligatory for minorities. In 1998, the Honorable Supreme Court, I'm going to quote the words, the selection and appointment of a headmaster in a school or a principal in a college are of prime importance in the administration of institution. The headmaster is the key post in running of the school. He is the hub on which all spokes of the school are set around, whom they rotate and generate result. A school is personified through its headmaster, and he is the focal point on which outsiders look at a school. A bad headmaster can spoil the entire institution. An efficient and honest headmaster can improve it by leaps and bounds. The functional efficacy of a school very much depends on the efficiency and dedication of its headmaster. The pristine concept remains unchanged despite many changes taking place in the structural patterns of education even through the years. Therefore, Rule 86 of the School Education Act rules, which provides for appointment of headmaster, assistant headmaster, and principal for any minority institution, is contrary to Article 30 of the Constitution and needs to be amended to exclude minority institutions. There is one very touching issue, and this is something about reservations in minority institutions. Reservation roster, I respectfully submit, is not applicable to minority institutions. We have a full bench judgment of the Bombay High Court way back in 2001, where it says it's not applicable. Then the test came in 2010 in Sindhi Education Society. The question came whether giving grant to a minority institution, they would be covered and they would be deprived of grant for not providing reservation. And the Supreme Court in categorically words said, you are not entitled to stop the grants when they are not going to have reservation, because you can't insist on a reservation roster for minority institutions. Now, with this background, we see what is happening on a day-to-day basis in the schools, where with the change of directors of education, they are holding up appointments. They are issuing advertisements for appointment on regular basis. Children are coming for, the candidates are coming in for a selection. Then afterwards, after the selection process is complete, there is no objection to it. NOC is being given to appoint them on a contract basis. Why should they be put like this? Why should they be given contract? They have come for a permanent job on a permanent advertisement. And then finally you tell them, no, you are going to be on contract. What happens to their continuity in service? What happens to seniority? What happens to the protection of pay? Nothing will be there available for them. Why do you want to keep people waiting like this? Because somebody comes and keeps on changing the rules. So I respectfully submit that these kind of issues have to be met, because when you have a healthy teaching community, they are happy. And if they are happy, they will give good education instruction. They won't be thinking, what's happening tomorrow? Do I go home or do I keep looking for another job? This is only some pastime over here. So, and you're talking of quality of education going down. You will see that these things will happen when this kind of action from the department is taking place against the schools. As far as the demand number 26, fire and emergency service, every colleague of mine has spoken about them. I have known P.K. John also, who was then the director of fire and services, who did a brilliant job and brought up the structure of the fire department. Now Nitin Raikar is also there. And he, along with his team, I can say one person whom I have been in touch with, Bosco, who has been on the ground. On the call they would come. On the call they would send the fire brigade and people. But I believe one thing, when asked my questions about the staff pattern and the vacancies, I have seen that from 2014, there are vacancies. Why are people not being promoted? People who have completed 11 years of service are not being given promotion. What will happen? They will retire and just fade away. Why not give them the chance? If we have those posts, you don't have to create them. The next is the demand 67, which is port administration. We started with inland waterway at a time when Mr. Digambar Kamath was the chief minister and Sudhin Daulikar was also the minister at that time. I remember very clearly, notings were put saying that a statement was made on the floor of the house that we will not allow central government to take over our rivers. When Manohar Parrikar became the chief minister in 2013, Sudhin Daulikar again refused to assent to handing over the rivers to the central government. Manohar Parrikar also refused. He put a note saying that throw them out. These are the wordings, I have got the copies of the notings. But in 2015, when the central government changed, suddenly when Parrikar became the chief minister, Without even going back to the house, before or after, Parsekar puts a note that this is federalism and therefore we will give it to them. Now the danger, what has happened, our rivers have been handed over to the Inland Waterway Authority. Now please look at this. These were minor ports, and our poor ports minister will be sitting doing nothing but twiddling his fingers. Why I say this? Because any development of the minor port includes appurtenant land, which means land on the bank of the river. Everything will happen over there on the permissions granted by them, not by us. Coupled with that, in 2021, we had the major ports bill which has come in. And I'm confident you are knowing the definition of the port limits, which is in section 2.1. In relation to major port means the limits including any piers, jetties, landing places, wharves, quays, docks, and other work makes in the public for convenience of traffic, for safety of vessels, or for improved maintenance or good government growth, its approaches whether within or without high water mark, and subject to any rights or private property therein, any portion of the shore or bank within 50 yards of high water mark, and the area of the major port as may be determined by the central government by way of notification from time to time. Then there's a master plan which is to be done by this port authority. Subject to rules made under this act, the board of each major port shall be entitled to create specific master plan for any development or infrastructure established or proposed to be established within the port limits and the land appurtenant to them. And such master plan shall be independent of any local or state government regulations of any authority whatsoever. Provided in case of any conflict between the master plan created by the board and any local authority, the master plan created by the board shall prevail. Yesterday or day yesterday, we were hearing about the problems of the airport and the development, which is not possible because our town planning has no control over the airport authorities and FOGA, which is giving the permissions. This is going to happen on the coast, and you take my word, you watch what I'm saying. Even shacks tomorrow, because of election it was not done, but tomorrow when the shack permissions have to be given, our government will have no control. It will go into the hands of the port authorities. If they give, if they say yes, then it will go. If it not, same way in the rivers. We have gone abroad. We have seen marinas in the river. If you and I want to make any development, they will say CRZ violation. They will say port not possible. If somebody else comes and lines their pockets, they will say this is good for infrastructure. They will say it's good for development. They will allow this. Trust me, what's happening. The major port authority, now which we call the Murmugaon Port Authority, will end up being nothing more than the British East India Company, which we had in those days, which actually ran the country before finally the British government took it over. So this is the next point I wanted to highlight, that these are the dangers which are potentially here. I would make a statement that these Goa's coast and river banks have been sold out. I think we must salvage the situation before it gets too late. Demand number 84, which is civil aviation. We talk of Mopa Airport, and I'm also very happy that it is commencing operations. But I'm only hoping that it's not another lavish opening with only one flight landing, and then the airport will be shut. There's demand number 25, which is relating to home guards. Home guards are performing virtually similar duties as police constables. In many cases, they even assist in the investigation of cases. It is but natural that they would expect their salaries to be brought on par with police constables and being given other incentives as extended to the police constables. I request that provisions in this regard be made for them also. In finance, demand number 32. In my constituency, we have two bridges. One is the ALDONA Korjueng Cable Stayed Bridge. It was once the marvel. It was when the International Film Festival took place, and there was a big celebration for its inauguration where the party was held over there. Today you go and see, it looks worse than, like ruins of the St. Augustine Tower, like it's going to collapse. It's very sad. The state is so bad, you may not even know where the railing is falling or the poles are falling into the river. It is rusting and the poles are bending. And so many letters have been written, nothing has been done. GSIDC, which is in control of this, should have a regular maintenance structure and a timetable, and this thing should be done fast. Calvi-Carona Bridge also, which was built in 2012 after that sad and unfortunate bus incident with the bus went with 6 children in the river. Even this bridge is lying unattended. It has also begun to rust, because if you don't have timely repairs, it will definitely wither away. We have one major issue of the ALDONA market. The ALDONA market is standing tall, crumbling down piece by piece, and it won't be a day when the entire building collapses. People don't have an alternative. Everyone knows about it. I spoke to the Honorable Chief Minister's office. He also says he knows about it. I know there are some issues which plague that development because of title to the land, because land is belonging to 2 comunidades. It's the one peculiar village which has 2 comunidades. And both comunidades hold that land. Fabrica of the church also has land rights, and that was given to the panchayat. So now the panchayat has built up that market. So you have require NOC from the owners, you require NOC from the panchayat. Now there are traders also. The traders are willing to come out, wait out until this is reconstructed. They don't mind the building being demolished because you can't repair it, it's beyond repair. The Go Engineering College experts have already certified the building as unsafe. Still, people have not moved out. It's a very sad thing. I'm not saying they should be put out, but I don't want any mishap over there. And I think the government should take this on top priority. And I request the Chief Minister to mediate and arrive at a consensus and make the provision, because GSIDC had started the file but abandoned it, and it just remains at the initial proposal stage. There's one more thing which I got the reply in relation to an election question, unstart question which I had asked about election expenses. Election expenses this year has been in the range of 56 crores, 53 lakhs and odd. Hiring of vehicles was over 10 crores. This is ridiculous figures which we are seeing. I only ask one question. There are these people, I have also seen that how much money was spent on food. I've seen how much money has been spent on accommodation and other things. Why is it that all these officers come and have a merry time here? Do they think that Goa is a holiday destination to come with their families and they come and enjoy and go at expense of our state? We don't have money here. We are in deep debt. The state has to pay, and each of the citizens is burdened with so much debt. And this is very unfortunate that we are having such type of people. There is a provision in the RP Act for requisition of vehicles. The collector requisitions vehicles. You could requisition taxis. You could requisition these vehicles which lost during the time of COVID. We could have paid them instead of engaging these taxis which came from outside Goa. There were vehicles. Our people, they had no vehicles, no employment of our vehicles there. In addition, we are paying GST. A GST कितले कोटेन आस्तले लाखानी आस्तले आमचे GST फारी केले. If you had requisitioned this directly, there's no GST payable by the government. So you would have paid only the fee as per your table. Now what is this 10 crores? I don't know who has bought vehicles in between. So therefore I think a thorough inquiry has to be done in this, and I am sure the answer says it was tenders were invited through GTDC. So when it is invited through a corporation and supplied to even to the government or the collectorate, the GST component enters in, and therefore it's again a loss for the state government. So the state government could have avoided this, and we have to check which were the agencies which were given, who was selected, and who are those directors of the agencies who got the benefit out of it. So I thank the Honorable Speaker for having given me this opportunity to speak on these things, and I trust the government will definitely be in a position to address these issues in the budget. Thank you.